You're showing me on the screen. Or not anymore.
I was.
Yeah, I saw me on the Zoom, on the TV, on the YouTube.
On all the screens in Mission Control where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Who do we have here? There we go. Who do we got here? We got Richard Grace, James the astrophotographer, Book Davies, Michael Whitaker, Bergman Scooter, Aaron Thompson. You know, it was a pretty nice day today here in Arkansas. I will admit, I'm a little tired from last night. It was a kind of a good tired, you know. It was such a great global star party.
Yeah, I stayed up. I don't know. I may have told you earlier today. I'd stayed up that previous night till 3 o'clock in the morning, so I was really tired. So that's why I fell asleep last night.
Right. I was awake till 2. Or finished work here at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was in bed by 2:20, something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
Cameron Gillis. Unfortunately, my work overwhelmed me last night since I had several meetings which torpedoed my efforts to join live. Well, that's why we keep it recorded. Cameron says he wanted to thank us and David Eicher for an excellent Clyde Tombaugh star party last night. It was excellent. It was fun, is what it was. And really, I mean, it's doing stuff like that you know, just is really rewarding because it's events, you know, meeting people like that and joining in to celebrate, you know, things like that. You know, you have to have an event to do it because, you know, it's rare that you and your friends might get together to celebrate, you know, an astronomer's birthday that passed on, you know, decades ago. So a couple of decades, I think now. But in an event and the right people, it can turn out to be a really good thing.
Yeah, it's good to talk about the anniversary births of famous people that are and astronomers in this case,
Yeah.
and celebrate what they brought to us.
Dave Eicher said that Clyde Tombaugh was actually a really shy person, and that
Mm-hmm.
he would be, you know, stunned that we were celebrating his 115th birthday in that way. You know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I heard that comment. Yeah. He said early on he was really he wasn't as outgoing as he was later on when he got a little older, I guess.
Yeah, he probably relaxed, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
was less worried about what he might say or what people might think of him. You know, that's the uh, that's the gift of getting old.
He was so he passed in what 97, 98 or something like that.
Something like that.
Was that after they declared Pluto a dwarf planet?
No, that happened
After he
after he
passed?
passed away, like a couple
Oh,
of years
well,
after he
that's
passed
good.
away.
They probably were waiting for
His
that.
wife was still around,
Yeah,
and
they're probably waiting for that.
I don't know. I
I
have no idea.
mean, it had to be in discussions for quite a long time before they actually did it.
I
Seems to
think so.
me.
He said that David Levy said that he was really concerned towards
Yeah,
the later parts of his life that they would take his discovery away from him.
right,
Well, no one could take his discovery away from him. He discovered it, right?
right.
And
Well, his place in history as discovering a planet,
planet.
that's a very rare thing.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. And that,
In fact, it's impossible now, pretty much. That was the last chance, I guess you could say.
yeah. Well, hello everybody. Scott Roberts and Jerry Hubbell here at the OpenGOTO Community Live. You were listening to Jerry and I chat about Clyde Tombaugh and the Global Star Party from last night. It was his 115th birthday, and Jerry's last comment was that we were talking about how Clyde was concerned towards the last years of his life that they might take his discovery away from him, and Jerry was mentioning, it was, it wasn't so much the discovery, but it was the discovery of a planet in our solar system, and that made me think about just kind of how we categorize and name things, and all of this stuff. These are all worlds that going around our star, and maybe they have different behavior or whatever, but they're still gravitationally bound by the sun, right?
That's right.
They keep going around and around. Otherwise, they'd fling off and go maybe to some other solar system.
And they're all worlds.
And they're all worlds, exactly. So, how you want to classify that world and what that means. It just made me think of what was the whole mindset of thinking about planets in our solar system versus thinking of this system of worlds, of which there may be hundreds or thousands of worlds just around our sun. So as you get out into the Kuiper Belt, and if you think about the different asteroids and stuff that we are visiting, and all of this, there's some really interesting and unique stuff out there, and it took all of it to make our solar system. So,
I guess the uniqueness of the body that you discover is a major thing too, because there's, right now there's the catalog of minor planets. There's over 700,000, almost I think 800,000 minor planets that have been detected that are in the Minor Planet Center's catalog. So if you discover a minor planet, even though it's thrilling and and exciting, it's just that there's 800,000 of them. Discovering one today would be exciting because it's very rare that it hasn't been picked up yet. So that's exciting today, where 20 years ago or 30 years ago, discovering a minor planet,
not a big deal, huh?
It's not a big deal because anybody could have done it back then, seems to me. If you put the effort out, not to take away from people that have discovered minor planets back then.
Of course.
At all. I would love to be able to find one, but that's not in the cards, I don't believe, for me, because it takes such a huge instrument now to do it.
Oh, really? Yeah.
It takes a large instrument.
Or super sensitive cameras, or
it's kind of like discovering comets now, I think, or even harder.
Oh yeah. David Levy's told me that he does not expect to make another discovery because of all the sky surveys and stuff. But occasionally things slip through, the bounds of where these big sky survey or these big survey programs, are they get most of it, but there's still something they don't.
Well, right. And it takes, so you could actually study how they do the surveys on all these different surveys and figure out if there's any gaps in their coverage somehow.
Sure. And study
and
that
then concentrate on there, right?
Yeah, I think that's the strategy today. So there's still good opportunity for I think amateurs to discover supernova, but even that's tough.
That's like winning the lottery.
That's like winning the lottery.
That's about what that's like,
That's
you
right.
you don't know when it's going to show up, and you got to be lucky enough to be the first one to see it.
But I mean, honestly, I was not the kind of amateur astronomer that really put effort out to try to make a discovery myself. I did not. Uh, I was getting so much enjoyment, and still do get so much enjoyment from doing sidewalk astronomy, sharing the experience, doing shows like this. It's the outreach part of it that is really nourishment for me.
And
And
that's really introducing people to personal discovery, not global, humankind discovery, and you're not the
right.
first one in human time to discover anything, but you're personally discovering something for yourself for the first time, and that's always exciting to show people
Oh yeah.
things and tell
I
them, yeah,
think
you can.
ultimately it's more meaningful. I mean,
Hmm.
if you made a major discovery and stuff, and people, you got somehow famous over that, that's all fine and good. But what do you know about yourself, really? And so I think that making, going on these personal discovery types of things through astronomy, the seeing things for the first time, and then noticing what that means to you, and how that makes you feel perhaps more connected, or makes you have more wonder or something like that. Instead of just hoping for outside recognition.
Yeah, right. So it's personal connection to me with the universe. It's
Yeah.
you get in touch with what's going on around you. It's a situational awareness in some regards. It's like you 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 understand what's outside the earth, basically.
Martin Eastburn says, but a man discovering the first shoe not be recognized. I think this is part of the revisionist movement. First shoe? I don't know.
Well,
Cameron says, definitely personal journey of self-discovery through astronomy is a great feeling. I think it's more than a great feeling. I think that it actually is healthier for you. I think it gives you more mental balance. I think it slows down your heart rate. I think that lots and lots of good things. It's very similar to the health benefits of camping, for example, or getting out in nature. And that's recognized worldwide. Tons of scientific studies have been done on it. But I would say that astronomy is special because you're out at night, and you're looking through the eyepiece, and you're learning to relax as you look through the eyepiece, so you can see more of the galaxy or more of the detail of the planet.
well, the thing is too that the universe is not in a rush to do anything, right? So
Right.
it's like you're disconnecting from the rat race. It's like you don't have 5 minutes to see something and it's gone.
That's
It's
right.
like
And it's gone forever. I mean, there are
it's
there are
our
things that
yeah,
happen. They
right,
are, and they're amazing. The eclipses are one of those.
right. Eclipses and
For sure. The comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 impact on Jupiter was something similar to that, although that lasted for weeks.
well, there, yeah, exactly. And then there's things like occultations. Now, occultations happen all the time. They're different every time. They're different ones and different stars and different minor planets. But also, um, there's different eclipses, but they're periodic. This stuff is
Yeah.
transient, but it's periodic, so you can wait for the next one. And in between, you can look at stuff that's really pretty stable and will not change. You can go back to it next year, next month, whatever. Now the moon, I like the moon because it's very dynamic in the shadows, and
Oh, yeah.
you have a changing face of the moon all the time, and you can always see little subtle. So if you're to the point where you're looking for little tiny things to look for changes at, the moon is a good target to look for that type of stuff. Because over an hour's time, you can see the shadows change
Oh, that's true.
pretty easily, and it can reveal things that only get revealed at certain times during its daytime. So the moon's day lasts for 29 days.
I,
So
I haven't seen much of, and I think I've seen one or two examples of it, but uh, you don't see a lot of time lapse done at high magnification of the moon. You know,
I've
like
got a couple of time lapses I did
yeah, where you could
of
see
the.
the shadows
Yep.
moving across and
Yeah.
changing and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a. I think I did a 3-frame thing when I was looking at. I did some imaging of the crater Petavius,
Mm-hmm.
and you can, and over like an hour's time or an hour and a half, you could absolutely see it change.
Right.
But that would be a good project to
Would. It'd
do a
be nice
long
to see
term.
one of our, if you're watching right now and you like doing some astrophotography, you got a rig that can do the moon. Try doing a bunch of images and making a little movie. It would
I
be
would
awesome to
suggest,
show it
right.
here.
I would suggest taking pictures every half an hour or so.
Oh, okay.
Yep, depending on how close you get in and how high resolution you can get. A half an hour is a good interval for watching shadows move, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can observe it, maybe do 6 or 8 frames over a 3 or 4 hour period, that would be kind of cool to see.
Sure. Or more. Or more, you know, to make it,
Mm-hmm.
um, you know, more of a smooth effect. I don't know.
Right.
I don't
Yeah, you
know.
could do every 15 minutes,
There you go.
uh,
There you
maybe.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to thank everybody on the chat who's saying nice things about last night's Global Star Party. I know that the team, you know, everybody involved on that show was just really pleased with, you know, what we were doing and the quality of the talks and all of that stuff. We went on for, I think it was almost 5 hours, something like that. But you know, it started to wind down. We did it. We did the after party, like I said, we were going to, and we had a couple of people show up. I think there was supposed to be a third, and for whatever reason, I didn't see them or they didn't log on to the Zoom. But we'd like to have more of you on. I think it would be great.
That's
Now,
going to be a
what's
standard feature of the star parties, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to you know, I'm changing the global star party so it's more inclusive. That's the reason why you're seeing organizations that are devoted to astronomy co-hosting the event. Okay, we're letting them set up the talks, and you know, I'm assisting. You know, I want to be more like an assistant, and you know, and to provide the broadcasting part of this, but. You know, the other part of this is that just letting people on that love this as well. You know that we don't know much about you yet, and you know, and you deserve to. You know, if you have something to show, you deserve a moment on the stage to. You know, with
Yeah.
all these other iconic astronomers
Yeah.
to show the rest of the world what you got. You know, and it's a way to help include you too with you know I think of astronomers as kind of a fraternity, you know, that has a very long you know, very long history, you know, going back, I guess, thousands of years, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
but it is when you think of all the ways that observing the stars has changed humanity. You know, it is infused in everything that we're doing. You know, and we just maybe we take it for granted somehow, but as we live our daily lives. But looking back out, looking up, wondering what's out there, going through that personal discovery experiences where you know, when you're seeing something for the first time or understanding something for the first time, things just start to click. You know, that's that's something that's very important, and I think it's something that all astronomers experience. So that makes
Mm-hmm.
it special. That makes it special.
Right.
Um, Go ahead, Jerry.
No, I was just gonna say yes. That's that's why I'm in it. Of course, is personal discovery, but also I'm kind of a cross between an observer and a techno geek. You know, I get into machine side of it, the equipment
Well,
side, but
you're a
also get into.
scientist too. You're a
Hmm.
scientist. You're doing science a lot, you know, and
So
you
I. Mm-hmm.
approach it from a scientific way.
and it is a lot though. I mean, there's a lot to learn, and I just try to grasp everything I can to learn. That's really the basis for my is to learn new stuff
Yeah.
about everything,
Yeah.
about the equipment and the sky and the universe, and just take advantage of the tools I have available to me today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Well, I know the guys at Astronomy Magazine want to do this again. I will try to search for you know, an extraordinary moment or time or something that is auspicious enough to invite these people back on. It was a lot of fun, very informational. It's going to be a star party I won't forget. Now, it's something I'll chalk up as one of the great things that I got to participate in. And if you were there as part of the audience, you were participating as much as any of us. So thanks for watching. Next week, actually, David Levy asked me, he said, Scott, is there going to be a Tuesday Global Star Party? And I said, yes, but that's only partially true. We are doing the Winter Star Party starting Monday that's right, the 8th.
Oh
Right?
yeah, the
Yeah.
8th.
So that's running all week long until the 11th. Let me look at the calendar. It's running through Thursday. It's
4 days. hmm So
I'll have to look.
they have video going all day long and all night.
Well,
How's the
it's the
video?
evening. It starts at 7,
Okay,
okay,
all right. Every night.
until like 11 or something like that. So it goes through the night.
So there's no day programs or anything. Any presentations during the day? Um,
Not during the day.
okay.
Not during the day.
Well, it's
Uh,
just as well. I mean, people can come home from work and then have dinner and then relax with the star
yeah.
party.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's cool about what they're doing, I've mentioned it before, but they're going to have, they recorded great lectures from years gone by, so a lot of our friends that have passed on, that were great astronomers, great lecturers there, they're going to show those. And I think that's awesome.
hmm
Um, I hope it's a tradition that they keep up as they continue to do winter star parties. That is a star party that, gosh, if you go to a star party, you should go to this one because
hmm
you're there. It's warm. There's lots of stuff to do. It's beautiful. You're right on the ocean. If you can get away, you can go diving, you can go fishing, you can go snorkeling, you can go shopping in Key West. If you have a clouded out night, which happens.
hmm
Okay.
hmm
Wow. You're there where there's some great nightlife, pubs. The No Name Key Pub is a really strange one to go to. It's a lot of fun. The whole inside, it looks like carpet when you first walk inside, and the whole thing is carpeted in money,
Oh,
in
really?
yeah, paper money. So you get down to Key West, you can stop in at Sloppy Joe's. This is where Ernest Hemingway used to hang out and have his drinks. You can see Hemingway's house. You can go see Harry Truman's White House down there, which is really interesting.
hmm
There's a lot of museums and stuff that are down there, and of course, Key West has its whole vibe, and it's very interesting. I have not heard anybody that say, "Oh yeah, I don't like Key West. It's horrible." It is fun. It is fun, and it's not like big city. It's somewhere. I guess it's a little bit like New Orleans, a little bit, but
That's
maybe
a
a little bit
great.
more sanitary.
I got to fly when I went in 2014 down there with you guys the first
Yes.
time.
Yeah.
I got to fly into Miami and then fly down in a little puddle, two
Oh, you
twin
went down to
engine.
Key West, or
He
yeah.
went right, flew to, I guess the airport's in Marathon. Is that right?
That is a cool flight because you see all the
Yeah, it
keys
is. You're
going
really
down.
low and you can see a lot. I mean, it's an awesome flight.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, we'll go next year. We'll be down there. I'll have to have you down there with me. It'll be fun.
That'd be great.
Yeah. Um, okay. So, anyways, we've got the Winter Star Party coming up. On Monday for our daily show, we're going to have Fred Espenak on. So a lot of you might know who he is. He's also called Mr. Eclipse,
Hmm.
and he has a new book out of celestial events that go from here to like the year 2060 or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
So,
Hmm.
right. So I think I'll be handing this book down to my kids or something, you
Right.
know.
Hmm.
But his books are very reasonably priced, and if you buy it directly from him, he'll sign them too. So that's a cool thing. Um, and that's true of almost all the people doing books, including this really nice book right here from a friend of mine.
Oh.
Jerry Hubbell's got a couple of great books. He's doing his mentor training based on these books, and so I've asked him to come in and go down through the terms or the different issues that affect astrophotographs. And
Right.
so you did. What was the first one that we did? It was
So it was the sidereal rate error, and we
okay.
talked about refractive error a little bit also, which is
Hmm.
another term, but that's related or causes issues with the tracking rate or the sidereal rate. But today I'm going to be talking about two things. The first one's a small item. Let me go ahead and share my screen,
Yeah.
and I'm going to try to make it more interesting for everybody and provide a
Okay.
little little more interaction here on the second topic,
Okay.
but it'll
That's
be
cool.
cool. Actually, I could do this on the
That's
first
cool.
one, but the
Well,
first one,
what we call Jerry and I call this our mentor program, and it's because almost all amateur astronomers have had a mentoring experience from someone that was more knowledgeable than we were to help us, understand how to get the best use out of our telescopes or how to understand the sky, including just also mentoring for giving presentations and stuff. That's
right?
what I'm doing with Libby and the Stars. Is I'm having her on every global star party. I think she's done 20 of them now,
Oh
and now
yeah,
she's starting to do poetry and stuff like that. And she's
she's definitely got a leg up on probably her peers in school
oh
on
yeah,
giving presentations. I'm sure
absolutely,
she's going to be.
absolutely,
That's
yeah,
one of the things I had when I was going to college.
yeah,
I took a couple of speech courses during college, and I was a nervous Nelly. I could not
yeah.
speak in
Oh,
front of
me
anybody.
me too, me too.
And
It's terrible.
what I've really found the key, one of the primary things to think about when you give a presentation is it's really good if you know your subject, as an expert that you would consider
Yeah.
as an expert, that you can speak to it for hours on end. And it makes you comfortable because you know what you're going to say ahead of time. You've already thought about it. You've already talked to other people about it. Just like what I talk about here in these presentations, I've thought about it a lot and
Oh,
over the years, and
obviously.
and so I'm not, and pretty much, I've been able to. I've had opportunities to talk in front of very large audiences. The largest audience I've talked in front of was at the College of William and Mary. There was a concert at
Hmm.
the college. They were doing whole planets, you know,
Oh, cool.
that concert, and I gave a talk before the concert about the planets, and there
Oh,
was like 3,000 people there, I think.
oh my God.
And I was standing on the stage. Now, see, what was good in a way was that I was on this big stage, and they had this big screen behind me. It's like a movie screen. So I was
Yeah.
this little figure standing off to the side. So I was like this big
Oh,
compared to the big screen here, like
yeah.
like I have here. I was like this big.
Uh-huh. But you had the microphone.
But I had the microphone and I was talking, and they were flipping through the slides, and it was okay. I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I was a
Oh,
little
good.
nervous, but it worked out good.
Oh. I remember
And
a couple of occasions having stage fright to where I almost could not talk, so I do understand. Sometimes I'm inviting people onto the show or want them to be on the show. And if they don't give presentations, sometimes it's a little nerve wracking for them. But,
yes.
we're just
Hmm.
here just having a good time.
Just
And
think about it like a conference
yeah,
call, like you're at work, talking to your peers. That's basically what it is. That's the way I think about it. I mean,
yeah. or you're walking out on stage with someone more experienced, like Mick Jagger or something.
Oh yeah.
Right? At the
Right.
LA Coliseum.
Right. Exactly.
You know that all the eyes are on him. So, actually, the way that I do it, the way that I got over my stage fright was to reframe the whole thing. Because I used to think people were watching me, and they're not here to watch me. They're here. They gathered together because of the subject, what we're going to talk about.
Right.
And if you know your subject, I started thinking of myself as more of a guide. Like I can show you over here, I can show you over there. This is what this is. This is who that is. And to learn to enjoy it as I think as much as the audience might. So that
Yeah.
helped a
So
lot.
yeah, keep in mind that the audience is there. They're interested in what you're going to talk about. It's not like they're there to throw tomatoes at you.
No, although that might be fun dodging a
yeah.
couple of tomatoes. So. That's
But
why I do all the broadcasting here, because if you're going to throw a tomato, you're just going to hit your own screen.
that's right. And you can punch your screen if you get mad, and you would
That's
break
right,
your
and I
computer.
won't see it. I won't feel it.
That's right.
You'll actually have to come to Springdale in Arkansas, come to my office and throw a tomato at me. So
While he's doing the broadcast.
while I'm doing the broadcast, maybe one day that might happen. I don't know.
Right. That's right. Yeah, you might have a live audience. That'd be cool to have a live audience in your office.
That's true. That's true.
You got the sound effects for a live audience. So
I do. I'm now thinking. We're really digressing here, but I'm thinking
Oh, I know.
the audiences they're having or that they've had for sports teams and stuff like that. They just had like a cutout picture of them, sitting, close to the diamond for baseball games and stuff, and then when I was down in Central America, and I saw a soccer game, and they had big monitors, and with actually the real fan there logged in on Zoom, and you could see they were excited. They're watching the game and stuff, and I thought, okay, that's the way they should have been doing this all along, because those professional teams make enough money, generate enough money to put in a bunch of monitors,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So.
They make tons of money.
Yeah. Anyhow, I digress. We have some mentoring to do here.
Yeah. So just as an introduction to this document that I'm going to be talking about, it's basically a document I put together 2-3 years ago, talking about what stands in the way of getting that perfect star image that's nice and tight and round across the whole frame. There's world-class images that you see of deep sky objects that have these perfect stars. There's ways to Photoshop that stuff, which is kind of cheating, but you want your source data, basically the raw data, to be as, I wouldn't say perfect, but as good as you can get it, especially if you're shooting for that world-class result. So these are things that basically get in the way of that. And we started out talking about at the top of the list, and the first part of the list talks about equipment problems that stand in your way versus external problems external to the equipment that you may not have as much control over. So we started on like last week was this, or earlier this week was the sidereal rate error. I'm going to talk about these next two, 1.1.2 and 1.1.3, the mount orthogonality error. And this is a simple thing right here. This is basically could be called a manufacturing defect if it isn't good. Okay, this is basically how well the mount manufacturer designed the mount, and typically today you have computer-aided design programs, and you have some automation for manufacturing where you don't. This isn't really a problem anymore. And this deals with how well your mount is constructed in terms of the two axes, the declination axis and the right ascension axis, how the relationship between them, that should be 90 degrees apart, or 90-degree angle between the two. And same thing with alt and as. There should be 90 degrees perfect. Now, alt as mounts are a little different. In an RA mount, you basically have a structure for orthogonality that's fixed. You have a shaft, the mount that the shaft goes through the RA axis, and then also through the declination axis, and they're fixed, right?
Right.
Now they can come apart, but when they go together, they're kind of like built into this one thing. And then that's the same way it is without that, except it may not be quite as good. It depends. But that's what that's talking about, is basically how well the mount is manufactured by the company that you buy it from. And the reason that's a problem, okay, is when you point the right ascension axis at the pole star, or at the North Celestial Pole, and your declination axis isn't orthogonal to that axis, it's off to the side, that causes an error in your pointing. So if you're at an angle, right, you're not going to point. So when you go deck over here, it's going to be high or low, and then you go over here, it's going to be high or low. It's not going to be right on the money, right, compared to where it should be. So that's the problem. Now that brings us to the next thing, the polar alignment error. A polar alignment error is how closely you match the mount's right ascension axis to the Earth's polar axis. They have to be directly aligned for you to be able to track the stars accurately. All right, and I've got a little interactive thing. I'm going to use paint. I'm going to be high tech and use paint to share this. So I'm going to share another screen. So I'm going to stop my share, and I'm going to share this paint diagram. And I've already started the diagram. Can you see that?
Yeah.
All right, so think about this as a depiction of the sky, okay? This cross is the North Celestial Pole, all right, in the red. So think about this as a celestial coordinate system. The North Celestial Pole is at 90 degrees declination. And then as you roll, think about it like it's a wide angle view of the sky, like a fisheye lens, kind of, and it's focused right in the center on the North Celestial Pole. So when you go out from the North Celestial Pole, that's declination. So this start, so you can see my cursor, that direction is declination. Okay.
Right.
So I guess that's like this. So as you go down this line, that's the declination axis. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is show you, and then so what we're going to do is we try to get our mount aligned, our mount right ascension axis aligned with the Earth's polar axis. And let me do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another mount coordinate. I'm going to create the mount coordinate system. So this is the celestial coordinate system. I'm going to copy this and make sure I'm in transparent mode. Yeah. And then I'm going to, so this right here is the mount's coordinate system. And as you can see, the mount's right ascension axis could be pointing anywhere in the sky, right? You could line it, all over. It could be down here. It could be way up here.
It could be way off.
It's going to be way off. So let me do. So what happens is when you have polar alignment error, is that this is basically it. You don't have, the errors are like this. Okay. So I'm gonna change the color so it makes it easier to look at. Let me see here if I can do this without screwing everything up. So the black is the actually I need to make this red. So that's the NCP. All right.
North Celestial Pole.
That's the North Celestial Pole in red. And
Or it could be SCP, I guess.
SCP, that's right, South Celestial Pole. And then this is the, and this is the Mount's celestial pole, I guess. You call it the Mount. That's where the Mount thinks the celestial pole is. All right. When you have an alignment error. So that's the error. So basically what happens is think about the this is the way, so let's say we're pointing at an object that's on 0 deck. So let me be fancy here. I'm going to make a star here. All right. So that's the object we're looking at, and it's following this path, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, there's two things to note about this. This is the path as the Earth rotates. This is the path the star will take.
It's going to make that
on
little
the sky
circle around the
right
celestial pole. Okay.
Right. It'll make this circle depending on what declination's at. We're calling it 0 deck right now.
And Polaris would make this tiny little circle too.
Yeah. So Polaris is real close, but it's going to circle around like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say that you have this star in your eyepiece on your mount, right? And you see it. Actually, let me back up real quick. I'm going to change the color real quick so that I can. So this is the star that you're looking at. All right. Oops. Why did I do that?
Dark star.
That's yeah. And then this is where it's at on your. So you've aligned your mount and you've told your mount you've lied to it. Basically, you say, okay, this is that star, and you've told your mount that that's the correct declination. Okay, you've synchronized your mount to that star.
It's because you're not polar aligned, right?
That's because you're not polar aligned, and you gotta. So you center the star and you sync it to the sky. Now look what happens here. As time goes on, your star is going to follow this path, but the star actually follows this path. And you can see what goes on as time goes on. The two stars get closer and closer to each other. You see this? The gap between the two axes.
Yeah.
They get that's and the thing about that is that, you know, think about this as time goes on. You see, this is your deck, so you can see the two positions get closer and closer. That's what declination drift is.
Mm-hmm.
You're drifting in declination as you go around. And then at some point in time, they'll be right on the money. It's like a watch is correct. You know, stopped watch is always good twice a day, right?
Right.
That's the same way this is. Now, see, and this is a 24-hour period, all right? This is one Earth rotation all the way around this way, okay? So you can see the change is very small. I'm gonna zoom up on this a little bit. All right. So over an hour's time, you go from this distance, you know, over a couple hours to this distance. All right, between the actual position and the apparent position due to the mount. So that's what causes the drift, or that's what makes the apparent drift in your image for declination drift when you're not polar aligned. Now this of course is an exaggerated drawing, but you get the idea. Let me see here. Are there any questions about that? Let me go back to the other document real quick.
No questions yet, that I see.
I think everybody understands that.
Mm-hmm.
My share. So that's this first one, declination drift. The period of this effect is over a 24-hour period, and the magnitude is a function of the polar alignment error, as you can see in the diagram that I did.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's two other effects that cause, that the polar alignment causes. That's the major one that people always talk about. There is a slight RA drift because it's just like you've seen two cars that are racing and they're going around a curve, right?
Yeah.
The one on the inside is a little faster, even though they're going the same speed. The one on the inside is going faster around the angle. All
So
right.
less distance to travel, right?
Less distance. And that's what that RA drift is all about. Okay. It's very tiny, and you typically will not see it unless you're doing very long exposures. But it's there. The final one is field rotation. All right, and I would make a diagram of that on the fly, but I'd have to think about it for a little bit first to show how to make it show, to be able to explain it correctly.
Well, a lot of people may not know what that is. I'll find an image for you.
The main thing to think about. So look at. I can demonstrate it with a star chart yourself. So if you're looking at, so let's say you're looking at the sky, and it's basically, let's say you're looking south, okay, at the sky at a star, and you see it it rises in the east and sets in the west, right? So when you're at the meridian, let's say you're looking at it and it's square on, right? It's the image looks like this. It's square on, looking dead south. Now when that time goes on, that changes orientation to your line of sight, and it's called the parallactic angle. So type in, I can find it. Parallactic angle is the explanation for that, and that's what you're seeing when it changes. That's the field rotation is due to the parallactic angle changing over time.
Okay, I'm sending you a link to an image with field rotation, parallactic angle.
Mm-hmm. That's this polar image with the stars all trailing.
Yeah. You can see it looks like it's like a whirlpool of stars.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a gross example of it, but let's see. Here we go.
Share that.
Here's an illustration of parallactic angle.
Okay, I'll show that.
Didn't like that. Oh, I see why. It's a PDF. That's why I didn't like it.
What the heck is my? What do you see on the share right now? Is it the right?
No. You're trying to go to that image?
Well, I'm trying to. Probably boring the heck out of our audience.
Well.
You see that document, right?
Yes.
So, got that image here, right there. It's kind of zoomed out. I'm trying to see if I can zoom in on it here.
Oh yeah, you can still see yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, it's kind of blurry now. It's at 400%.
Yeah, but you can see how it's sharp in the center.
Yeah. So as the field rotates, this is field rotation. So as you're tracking, you're following the star around, it starts to rotate, right? And so this angle know if you see my cursor, this angle right here that the star's making, when you're dead on, it's called the parallactic angle right there, and it depends on in terms of the stars, it depends on how far ahead or behind the meridian you are. So this is at the north, but the meridian goes from the North Pole up through zenith. So when I'm moving my cursor up, that's looking up towards zenith, and then it passes down the other side, and that's the meridian. This line is a meridian.
Yep.
So on the right is the eastern side of the meridian, and on the left is the western side of the meridian. So in that regard, the stars are moving east to west or right to left. That's the way the stars are moving at the North Celestial Pole. Of course, they're moving the opposite direction when you're looking at the southern sky. But so as the stars, as the time goes on, as you're at the meridian, the stars look up and down, left and right, the way they're moving, right? So you think about this box that your image is, right? So as you track the sky, you get field rotation, you get differential, with the parapolar alignment error, you get differential error, which causes a field rotation. Now, if you're in an alt-azimuth, this really is a gross, you're alt-az, you're not polar aligned. This is when you see this gross amount of change in parallactic angle. You go from horizontal to at an angle, which is what this demonstrates with the alt-az. That's what you would get with an alt-az mount, or
That's right. So when I first started doing working with Meade's LX200, I did a lot of imaging in alt-az just to see what I could get away with, but it changed as I moved to different parts of the sky. I would get more field rotation at some parts of the sky than at others. So it was, it always made me think that, ultimately the best type of mount would be an equatorial mount. And it makes me wonder about some of these, there's these kind of robotic little telescopes that you can buy, and I don't know, they seem a little expensive to me, but they're just alt-az.
Yeah, right.
And they use, I guess, a lot of tracking and stacking and maybe some fancy alignment to try to mitigate that field rotation problem, but it's
Right.
definitely there. And
Yeah, you have to do that in software. You have to derotate the images in software, which is it's very easy to do. All the best way to do it, or the best results occur when you do a plate solve on each image,
yeah,
and then you use a stacking program that uses the plate solve information to rotate the image, because the plate solve will calculate it's called the position angle of the image, and that's the relationship of the axes of the image to north, south, east, west.
mm-hmm.
So it derotates it accordingly when it does the stack, and there are probably some real slight artifacts from the rotation calculation and the way it's, so what you're doing is you're taking this image that's covering maybe 30 pixels,
Yeah,
right? And you're rotating it into other pixel space, right? You got other pixels. So the way it calculates the brightness of each of those pixels when you rotate it, that's going to be different from the original data. Okay.
right.
So that's a little artifact. So if you're doing measurements, you got the raw data where you took each pixel collected its own photons. Now when you derotate it, you're sharing photons between pixels.
Oh,
Is
right.
what you're doing, right?
Probably not very good for a careful measurement.
Well, it depends on how precise you want to be, and I don't know if it's a real error or not. It could be. I mean, that's something that could happen when you're doing a really fine measurement. But I'm sure there's ways around it, and it may not amount to a hill of beans depending on what you need. I'm sure that the scientists that use these big telescopes, and all the big telescopes are out as, bigger than 1 meter. Most of them are probably out as 1 to 2 meters.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to deal with this when they gather data. So I'm sure it's probably not a big deal. but it's there. So that's the stuff that happens when you don't have a good polar alignment. That can cause your images to trail or not be perfectly round stars.
Very good. Very good. So what will be our next topic?
Well, if you can see down the list here, we talk about, this is a big topic, gear defect error.
Okay.
So
All right.
that's a manufacturing error, and it causes several different things. Let me see how many things I got listed here. Actually, there's two major categories of problems that it causes that we'll talk about next time.
Right. Okay. Well, we, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we have a big week ahead of us. From the 8th through the 11th is Winter Star Party. So they'll be on each weekend, or each evening, excuse me. And still, I don't have details yet on what's going to be on Friday, but you will see us, of course. And until that time, you guys have a really great weekend. And I hope you can get some time under the stars and think about the project that we talked about earlier with a time lapse of making a time lapse movie of the shadows on the moon.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Love to show that on this show. So
yeah, that'd be a great project.
all right. Okay. So until that time, keep looking up. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
The Southern Cross Astronomical Society of Miami, Florida is proud to present the 2021 Winter Star Party Virtual Edition, February 8th through the 11th. Because of COVID, we will not be able to get together in person this year, but we won't let that stop us from getting together online with old friends and make some new ones. There will be all new presentations about double stars, astroarchaeology, Mars exploration, and more. Enjoy classic videos from past winter star parties by Tippy Dioria, Dr. Mike Reynolds, John Dobson, and more. There will also be door prizes, but you have to register online by January 30th. To register, please visit www.scas.org. Go to the Winter Star Party tab. Select 2021 Virtual Winter Star Party from the drop-down menu. Go to the bottom of the page. Enter your name and email address and press register. And best of all, it's free. Then join us February 8th through the 11th from 7 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.explorescientific.com/Winter Star Party. Mark your calendar. See you there.
All right.